Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Concept Simplified. In today's video, we'll be discussing about an important topic that is proposal submissions and disclaimers, a misline that could cost everything. So this video for the next 5 minutes or so, I'll be explaining about the significance of disclaimers, what is it and why it is required. Along with that, I'll be also telling about the proposals. In the world of procurement, supply chain, and business development, proposals are a part of daily life. But while we focus on pricing, scope, and timelines, one subtle line often gets left out. That is the disclaimer. So, let's start with understanding what is a proposal. Proposal is a formal written document submitted by a vendor, consultant, or a service provider outlining what they can offer to a prospective client. It typically follows a request like an RFP, request for proposal, RFQ, request for quotation, or sometimes it is voluntarily submitted. It is not a contract, but it often forms the basis for further discussion, negotiation, and eventually a contract. Why is a proposal so significant? It sets the tone for your business relationship. It outlines your scope, price, and expertise. It helps a client compare different vendors. It sometimes becomes part of the contract itself. In high value procurement or government projects, proposals are not just documents, they can influence selection, project scoping, and expectation. What does a typical proposal contain? It usually contains executive summary, company background, scope of work, deliverables and timelines, pricing or cost estimate, terms and conditions, and contact details. But what's often left out? A disclaimer clause that protects your intent and information. Now let's understand what is a disclaimer. A disclaimer in a proposal is a protective statement that helps make it clear that the proposal is not legally binding, reserve your right to revise or withdraw terms, protect the confidentiality of the proposal, avoid unintended obligations, limit liability, reduce misuse of the information, and or IP share. Why should every proposal include a disclaimer? So it shields you from premature liability, protects you from pricing lock-in, prevents third-party sharing without permission, gives you flexibility to update scope or cost. Now let's look at some of the examples. So let's start with the first one, that is general non-binding disclaimer. This proposal is non-binding and submitted solely for discussion purpose. No obligation shall arise unless a formal contract is executed. Or this proposal is for evaluation purpose only and does not constitute a binding offer. Next, we have a disclaimer related to the pricing. The pricing mentioned is indicative and subject to change based on final scope and timelines discussed and agreed upon. All pricing timelines and deliverables are indicative and subject to change based on further discussion and agreement. Now let's look at the confidentiality disclaimer. This document is confidential and intended solely for the use of the recipient. No part of this proposal may be shared or reproduced without prior written consent. Or the contents of this proposal are confidential and may not be shared with third parties without written permission. Validity period disclaimer. This proposal is valid for a period of 15 days from the date of submission and may be subject to revisions thereafter. Or this proposal shall remain valid for 30 days from the date hereof. Any extension or modification beyond this period will require mutual confirmation in writing. Next, we have subject to contract use. This proposal is subject to final contract and shall not constitute a commitment until a definitive agreement is signed. Or the contents of this proposal does not constitute a binding offer and are subject to the execution of a mutually agreed contract between the parties. Scope limitation disclaimer. The scope described herein is based on initial understanding and may be refined post discussion or upon receipt of further technical details. The proposed scope is preliminary and may be updated based on further discussion, site visit, or access to relevant technical and operational inputs. The last one is right to withdraw. We reserve the right to withdraw or revise this proposal prior to execution of a formal agreement. Or the proposer reserves the right to modify or withdraw this proposal in whole or in part or at any time prior to the execution of a definitive agreement without any liability or obligation. When should you include a disclaimer? When submitting proposals for large-scale or government projects, when you haven't had a detailed discussion yet, or when you are unsure about project specification or delivery feasibility, when commercial terms are not yet finalized. So in short, always as a best practice even in informal bids. Proposal is not just a promise, it's an invitation to talk, including a few strategic lines as disclaimers can save you from miscommunication, unrealistic expectation, or legal exposure. So, next time you're preparing a proposal, ask yourself, does this proposal protect me or only pitch me? So, this is all about the proposals and disclaimers. I hope you found this video informative. If you have anything to add here or anything to suggest, like correction or modification, please do that in the comment section. I'll be very happy to do the value add on. Thank you so much. And please do not forget to subscribe to the channel Contract Simplified.